Okay, we've attached our pocket, and I've hung one stitch from the right side of the pocket. My carrot is on the left side. Now I'm going to knit. I'm at row 63. I'm knitting one row. When my carrot gets over to the right, I'll rehang the stitch on the left. Now I want to make sure that I go and hang it where my markers are. And I'm taking the edge stitch every other row and hanging it back on my machine. I'll get real close on this side so you can see which one I'm taking. Okay, one moment. Okay, now let's get up close so you can see what I'm doing. Get as close as I can. Let the camera focus in. One moment. Okay, that's about as close as I can get. Now as you're looking at the back side of the pocket, you'll see a series of straight stitches and kind of bumps. I'm grabbing the straight stitch and hanging it on the stitch that I've got marked. And I'm knitting the row. Now you want to make sure that you'll hang the outside stitch onto the marked needle, because otherwise you'll have a really crooked pocket. Okay, now I'm knitting the row. Right now I have my yarn down below me. You can back up a little bit now so you can have an overall look at it. Carriage is on the left. I'm grabbing a needle on the right, making sure I get the right needle. Knitting the row. Carriage is on the right. I'm picking up the left needle, next row up, and knitting the row. Picking up the next stitch on the pocket on the right, because my carriage is on the left, and knitting the row. Okay, what's going on here, which I'm not sure you can see, but one of the latches, see this latch here, it's up. To get it down, you slide the tool. Let's see if I can get in on this. I need to move a little bit here. It's in here. What I do is I slide the tool between the needle and the bed, lift the carriage up a little bit, and lay the latch back down. And that's how I fix that one. Okay, get the camera back in position. And I finish knitting the row. I rehang the next stitch. You're going to rehang a stitch every row. It's just every other side that you're hanging. And what I'm doing here on the right is the same thing there on the left. You just can't exactly see it. I'm picking up the next straight stitch and rehanging it on the appropriate needle. Keeping the work down out of the way. And you may have to hang a weight on that just to keep it out of the way. Okay, carriage is on the right. I'm hanging a stitch from the left, making sure it's on the right needle. Carriage is on the left. I'm hanging on the right straight, making sure you don't want to grab that one. You want to make sure you grab the right one. It's not going to look straight while you're working on it. As long as you're grabbing the correct needle, it will be straight when you're done and after you've pressed it. Okay. Not only do I have little elastics, let me show you. See, little elastics. That's what I'm using for my markers. I've also marked my bed with a permanent magic marker. I use a cleaner to get it off. Works quite well. It's not an endorsement, but it's mean green. Probably any cleaner. I think Windex will work too. Okay, and you work this up, all the way up to the, you want to make sure you grab the whole stitch. If you don't, just remove it and do it again. But you want to make sure you're grabbing every other row. Side. Make sure I hook on the right needle. Hook on the right needle. Should say correct needle, shouldn't I? Okay, I have a needle. You hear that? It's telling me is that latch is up again. So I lift the carriage up just a tiny bit. Just enough to get the latch to go down. Okay, carriage is on the right. Rehang the stitch. Okay. Okay. Rehang the stitch. Ensuring that you're hanging it on the correct stitch. Okay, that happened because I wasn't paying attention to it, and I lifted up a little bit. Doesn't take much. Easy fix. Just take it back to the beginning of the row. I did not reach the row counter, so I don't have to worry about resetting that. Okay, there we go. Now these needles, the ones that the stitches have not cleared the latch, I will leave them, I'll push them back. The ones that cleared the latch, I'll just lay them in working position with the latches open and continue on my knitting. And paying attention, holding it down. Now I don't have that much pressure on it to knit the row. That's not really necessary, because you create all kinds of new problems when you push down too hard. I don't know if you played with cars, but when you ran a car across the carpet, if you push down too hard, you'd get rug burn and the wheels would pop off. The same kind of pressure. Okay, grab the correct needle, and I know it's the correct needle. Okay, because it's marked. That's why I marked the bed, because I'm forever losing my stitch. And since it comes off really easy, alright, I think we got another needle up. Yep. You can't see it, excuse me while I fix it. I'm just lifting the carriage up a tiny bit, pushing the latch back, and continuing on with my knitting. You can tell by the sound, as I keep telling you. I probably sound like a broken record. If you listen to your machine, it will tell you what's going on. Get used to the rat-a-tat noise it makes. Okay, that needle. One of these days I'm going to have to replace that needle. I think it's just bent a tiny bit. But as long as it doesn't cause me major problems. Okay, now when I get these all knitted up, I will. I'm paying attention to what I was saying, not what I was doing. You just pull it out and get the needles into the right position again and continue on your way. Like I keep telling you, nothing you do is not repairable. And I'm just pushing the needles back, the ones that have not cleared the latches, I leave alone, I just push them back. The ones that cleared the latches, I pull them forward. With the latches open, and I'm going to go slow, moving the fingers out of the way, rehanging the next row. Now when I go to do the band, I'll do that afterwards, the band for the pocket. I will finish this up and I'll come back when I go to do that, because I do have to take it off the machine and rehang those, and it's going to look really weird because I only need to rehang those 30, but I need to hang it so it's the back side is facing me so that I can put a band on that. Mine still hasn't wrapped around that yet. Okay, that needle just, what I'm doing is I'm lifting a little bit up on the carriage, pushing that needle back so that it clears. And some people have filed that spot just a little bit, but I didn't. Okay. I think one of the reasons I haven't changed that needle is once you've cleared it, it's hard to see which needle is jammed. So I'm going to have to mark it so that I can get it changed. Because I can take one of my needles I'm not using there on the end. And just rehang these. Now once I get the balance of these hung, I will open the pocket up. Okay, rehang these. Yeah, those are live stitches. I'm just going to tuck them down into the pocket so it's out of my way. I'll bring it out as I need it. I'm just taking every other needle and rehang what I'll do is when I'm done, I will stitch a band. I'll put a picot type band on it. And I'll just start with the picot, then knit 6 stitches, and then tuck them into the pocket, and attach them to the inside of the pocket. That's the stitch right there that I'm going to have to fix. I'll buy it later. And rehang the next row onto the correct stitch. And I tuck the work down underneath. That should get me to approximately 112. It may be more or less, but I think it's my sweater. If it's 1 or 2. Okay, I have a pop stitch. Let's pull out my latch tool. Excuse my arm. I'm going to try to do this so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm grabbing the stitch below the stitch that popped off. And then I'm just restitching these back up. And then hanging that back on the machine. Okay. Rehanging this one onto the correct stitch. Okay, I have a needle out of alignment. I'm not quite sure where. Excuse my arm. There we go. What I did is I wiggled. I knew it was out of alignment because of the sound it made. So I just did one of these things to the material. Okay, now I'm doing my best not to put any pressure on my live stitches, because I want to use them again. Okay, I'm rehanging onto the correct stitch. I'm tucking it in so it doesn't cause me problems, I hope. Knitting the row carefully. Rehanging the stitch. Now this is my 112, and this is where I want my pocket to last. And I knew I had extra stitches. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my stitches that are on the machine between my pocket markers onto a yarn holder. And I'm taking all of them and I will set these into the back, and I'll come back to those later. Now, I'm not going to film from here to the closing of it because it's boring and we're just doing pockets today. So when I get the rest done and I go to do the pocket flap, I will come back and I will show you that portion of what I'll be doing on that one. Now this is just a flat pocket. It's an insetted pocket. I'll make sure I take all of them. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I want to make sure that needle gets behind my stitches. Okay, so now I'm going to take all my stitches off that are my pocket stitches, making sure I only take off the pocket stitches. And I'm letting the needle fall behind. Now this is where I have to get, because I have extra stitches here. So what I'm going to do, excuse me if I get in the camera, but I got to see. I'm going to take, you can see how this stitch is here. Follow that stitch up and take that stitch to see if you got the right one, which I didn't. You can look on the back side. You need to get the edge stitch. Okay, there we go. Now once you have that one, you can follow it across. Make sure you get the stitch itself, which I don't think I got it that time. Okay, I got a little extra stitch there, so I can't just... Okay. Now, that one is a stitch. Check it from the front. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's the correct stitch, so I will just hang it and bring these, because I can always move the stitches over if I picked up the wrong one. Just follow the stitch across. Had I thought about it, I would have run a lifeline, but I changed midstream, so I have to do it the hard way. Just rehang this, and what I'm doing is I'm just following the stitch across and picking up where the loop lands in. Just following it around, following the downward curve, and picking up the stitch that it goes into. Downward curve, stitch it. Downward curve, stitch it. And I will take that excess stitches, I'll undo those. And if I may have to stitch a couple stitches, which is fine. Okay. And I'm almost ready to do my balance up to my shoulders and then up to my neck. I'm not quite to the neck yet, but then I'll do the raglan sleeves. Basically, a raglan sleeve is just decreasing equally on both sides. So you're making kind of like a triangle. Hey, I did good. I picked it up on the right stitch. I got the right stitch over there. So now I just take this excess out. Okay. I'm just taking until I run out of stitches. Okay. Now I'm going to leave this excess here because I'm hoping I can use that when I do the flap. Now if I can find my sample right quick, I'll show you again. What I did, I just hung this part of the work. That is my top, and that is what I'm hoping my pocket will look like. See, you can see the yellow. I want to make sure I don't have this, but this is just a sample I did just to see how I wanted to do it. Okay, and I'll be back when I get this off the machine, when I go to do the front of that, the band of the pocket. Okay, thank you. Okay, I finished my front. Now I'm getting ready to hang my 10 stitches back on the machine. And what I'm, excuse me. Okay. So, doesn't really much matter where I put it because I'm only going to deal with these 10. Or these 30, excuse me. So I just rehang these, and this is the pocket. I've got the wrong side cross-side facing me. When I get these hung, I'll show you what I'm referring to. Okay, my needles. Excuse my arm, please. Okay. Now I just hang these back onto the needles that they came from. Doesn't matter where. I mean, it doesn't have to be in the exact spot because these are the only ones you're going to be dealing with. You're not going to be adding any more stitches. Now just transfer them to the needles. One of the easiest ways is just to do using the latch tool and moving it over and moving the needle out of the way. If you pull the needle too far, as long as you don't have any tension on it, the stitches shouldn't go anywhere. Just be careful if you drop them. What I'm doing at this point, I'm holding the stitch in front of the needle. Excuse me, holding the stitch, in front of the needle on the bed of the machine and just sliding it into the stitch. That way you'll make it a little bit easier. Now what I'm planning on doing, I'm going to do a picot edge at this point, and then I'm going to knit 6 rows. And I have to be careful. See that last stitch? It didn't get grabbed all the way, so I want to make sure I don't undo it. Okay, I got my pocket rehung. I got my yarn over here on the left side. And see, I've got the, excuse me, okay, see, this is the back side of the pocket, the inside of the work. Okay. Bring my carriage over to the side that my long thread is on. Push all the work back. Let's get a little bit backwards so you can see what I'm doing. Now, I want this to have a picot edge, so I'm moving every other stitch over one stitch. Kind of like when you decrease it, except I'm not going to move all the stitches over. I'm just moving one at a time. What this does, it creates a hole, and when the hole is folded over, it creates a real nice edge. And it prevents it from curling. And it'll go with the hem I've chosen, because I'm doing the same thing for the hem. Now this is going to give me an issue, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bottom stitch here and rehang it up with that one. That way you don't get such a long stitch. I'm doing the same for the front. That way I should not get any holes. Even all the stitches up. Bring all my needles into working position. Bring my carriage over, and I'm not going to worry about my row counter. So I'm going to do one row real slow. Okay, I got a jam here somewhere. And I probably have a needle out of alignment. Sometimes wiggling the material will cause it to get back into alignment. And all these bars I am rehanging onto the stitch above it, the needle above it, excuse me. And then I will knit about 5 rows. Okay. I'll do this row real slow. Check my stitches, make sure they got knitted. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, normally I would rehook these to the 6th row below this, but I'm going to do that by hand, so I'm going to cast off. And I'm just doing a simple cast off, moving the needle, the stitch over to the next door needle, knitting through the 2 stitches, moving it over, 2 loops, knitting through, move it over, 2 loops, knitting through. Okay, I'm going to attach my band. I'm taking about 4 times the width of my pocket. I'm taking my sewing needle, my yarn needle. I'm going to close off this stitch by just lacing it up. Now what I need to do, I need to turn my pocket kind of inside out. Let me make sure my thread's on the right side. Okay, you're going to turn your pocket kind of inside out because you're going to work on the inside of it. Okay. Now what you're going to do, what I'm going to do, there we go. See, it's at the corner, so I'm going to stitch up and back and staying on the inside of my pocket. I don't want to go out to where the outside of the sweater is, so I'm going to stay away from the stockinette stitch. I'm going to pull that fairly snug and just picking it up. What I'm doing is I'm just fastening the pocket band down. I'm going to go back down the other way. That way it keeps it. It does a double stitch on, so it's secure. And what I'm going to do going across, I'm just doing something like a whip stitch. I've got it held in place with bobby pins. And I'm just going to pick up every other stitch. Actually, it's every stitch, and just do a blanket stitch. Now this is not going to be seen on the flip side. See, you can't see it, but it will give kind of a border to it. Let's see, where's my? I've got my scissors. Let's get my camera where I can. Keep losing the lens. Here we go. And just try to keep it in the same row. You're picking up one stitch. Your bobby pin's getting away, just take it out. And just work it away. You don't want it too tight because you want to try to maintain a similar tension. And I'm just picking one stitch from each. As close as I can get with it still being reasonably sharp. I'm picking up about every stitch. When I get back to the edge, I'm going to do the double stitch again. And that'll help keep it secure. And the piece I'm actually working on is the sweater itself. This back here is actually the pocket that I added. Oops, sorry. Pick up the edge. And remember, keep it inside the pocket. Because that's actually... Okay, that is inside the pocket. Never mind. You still don't want to put it... Because otherwise you'd make it bulkier than it needs to be. Now we'll come back down. And I'll show you what my pocket looks like. And I'm just doing a whip stitch. Just picking up one stitch, then the other on the to seal the edge of the pocket and give it a little bit of reinforcement. Okay, now I'm going to weave in my yarn. The way I weave it in is I go in one side of the stockinette stitch. I don't pull it tight because I don't want to misshape the stitch itself. Go in the other side and come out. In one side and out the other. And once you do about an inch of that, come back in the other direction, so you do it like an overlap in it. I'm just kind of squiggling a little bit. Okay, once you have that, then you go grab your scissors. One minute. My other scissors fell. And just snip it close. And now let's see what my pocket looks like. Can I come back any? Okay, that's about it. Okay, let's move some things out of the way. And there's my pocket. See if I can get it in a better light. Got my little bit of picot edge, and it lays fairly flat, and that's it. When I go to do the collar, I'll film that. And thank you for watching.